Dear folks of Baba, we have an inherent longing to be free. Prophet Muhammad once spoke about a newborn child. The child may cry out in its helplessness, but it doesn't want to go back to the darkness of the womb. And so it is with your soul when it leaves the nest and flies into the sky over the wide plain of a new life. You would not trade that freedom for the warmth of where it was. Let loving lead your soul. Make it a place to retire to a kind of monastery cave, a retreat for the deepest core of your being. Then build a road from there to God, your beloved. Darwin Shaw would give the metaphor of the unlimited world of awareness or consciousness on the one side of the limited world of our thoughts, emotions, desires, and deeper feelings on the other. Our awareness is like an octopus whose tentacles are always trawling for something in this limited world, getting enmeshed in thoughts, emotions, desires, and even our deeper feelings. Our consciousness is always bound by the activity, and we do not enjoy that inner freedom, which is our birthright. Darwin would say what we have to do is withdraw our tentacles of awareness from being enmeshed in the limited world of our sanskars or impressions and turn toward the unlimited realm of our soul, Baba himself. We need to become detached from our thoughts of right and wrong, good and bad, gain and loss, and become deeply aware but not enmeshed in our emotions, desires, and feelings, which continually pull us into the racing river of our sanskars. We cannot capture the soul in the net of these experiences. It is not so much willpower, but love that helps us to withdraw our tentacles so we can live in our soul. Some of this detachment can be helped by psychological methods, but in the end, the shortest path is by bringing love into all that we do, infused with Baba's love, and in doing so, we will enjoy the intrinsic freedom of our soul. One day, Baba conveyed these words to me here at the center that defined freedom in a most surprising and seemingly paradoxical way. Freedom is having no choice but to love. When we are prompted by love, there is a feeling of freedom in spite of our having no choice. Reflecting Baba's words to me, Erich would often say, I exercised my free will to become his slave. At the deepest level, it is not what we want, but what love prompts us to do that matters, ideally. This requires the incredible patience and inner surrender to wait until love inspires us, rather than being prompted by good or right or duty. The infinite variety of shoulds. Unfortunately, we often don't have the luxury to wait for love to be the doer, but eventually and gradually, with Baba's grace, love will win out. Freedom is the capacity to respond wholeheartedly to the unpleasant demands that life often places on us. It is about wholeness and self acceptance, and the loss of freedom is wanting something different from what is. What has been your experience of withdrawing from identification with thoughts, desires, and emotions? What pulls you most powerfully into the world of illusion? Could it be, for example, something like demanding what we think of as justice and fair? Darwin would talk about creating inner space by giving the contents of our heart to Baba, to make room for him to live in us. He would say, the deeper the feeling, the deeper the healing. Through this inner work, we can enjoy greater freedom in this moment without always being lured into the finite world. It is possible to be fully aware of the world of time and space, everyday life, without being enmeshed in it. This is real freedom. In his love, Jeff.
Yeah. Anybody? Anybody have something that comes up or this evokes in you?
Yeah, I'll go first, Jeff, if
Oh,
that's
wow.
okay. So might as well plunge in, right?
Yep.
At the so my experiences over time have taught me that it is only through detachment, and that is the key right there, detachment, that we can surrender ourselves totally to being with Baba wholly. And we find that so much of all of this life is just so um, what shall I say? It's so fleeting. It's so transient. There's nothing to it in the end. It is all Baba, all Baba. And until and unless we practice detachment, we're not going to move ahead in the game. So, in reading the very last page of Arnavaz's book, I really came across this in a most profound way. And I'll read that last paragraph to you. Living the life Baba has ordained for each of us means learning to carry out our responsibilities selflessly. We must learn to live in the world, but not be of it. All that matters is total dedication to God. Baba said, "Be happy in whatever situation you find yourself in, because it is I who have placed you there." He wants us to face, accept, and deal with whatever circumstances we encounter. What he asks of us is not easy, but he encourages us, saying, "Do what you have to do, try your best, and leave the results to me." When we are able to leave the results to Baba, we are beginning to develop detachment. Baba slowly brings about this detachment through our experiences while we are doing all that has to be done in life. What we need to do is to keep seeking to please him. Baba said, "Let my wish and will be done in everything." Detachment comes through pain, grief, anguish, frustration, and dejection, as these experiences gradually break down the strong ties of Maya. And it is with detachment that we discover real love. Beloved Baba sustains us through the difficulties of our journey, bringing us ultimately to the realization that nothing is real but love for God. Jai Baba.
Beautiful. Nothing is real but
But
love for God.
yes.
Peter.
We got
Oh,
Solamasi.
yes, I was so hoping to get in before Go here because I wanted to say something very simple, which is I'm so unqualified for this topic. Um, but also, it's hearing what Go here says about detachment it's very triggering for me. And I'll kind of leave it at that for the moment. Just, yeah, detachment to me is very painful, especially when it's toward me. And I'll pass with that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and keep that in mind. We'll orbit around again. Anyone else?
Peter, did you say detachment is what?
Triggering.
Peter.
Yes, I heard detachment is very painful to me, especially when people detach from me without any rhyme, no reason whatsoever. It becomes, I mean, how did I say it? Not just troubling to me, but it makes me, I think, mentally unhealthy when people do it. And I will ask and I get zero from them. And I'd like to say I don't deserve it. It happened though. It happened though.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there's only a certain percentage of people who love you, love us. And then a lot of people could just dismiss us like, you know, unimportant in their life. It's a sad thing. Uh, but anyone else?
Just to comment on what you just said, Jeff, is you can't, everybody can't be your best friend. That'd be too many best friends. So you just need a few, actually. You don't need that many.
And then, yeah, and then you can work from there. But Yeah, it's, some people just aren't into you. I mean, around my neighborhood, I mean, people are kind of friendly, but if I really kind of showed my cards, they'd think I was a little bit nuts. So it's quite a superficial relationship with some people, and that's an unfortunate thing. But it's what is. Anyone else? I know, I kind of thought that this might be a difficult topic somehow. Oh, good.
Got Virginia. Thank you, Virginia.
Hi, all. Just a brief thought that I was thinking the more that I see Baba in everyone, the more that my reactions to those people don't come up as much because I'm just seeing Baba there and experiencing Baba and knowing that whatever's happening in the moment is what Baba wants to happen to me. And I feel love even in interactions that might not seem on the surface like they're love.
Yeah, beautiful. Well said. Yeah. Yeah,
We've got Rich. Unless you were you going to say something, Jeff?
I started to, but then my mind went blank. Go
Well,
for
I have several thoughts on this stuff, but recently, well, since I was sort of since I exited the workforce, because I was very active physically in what I did, I created things to do on my own so that I would be entertained by the world and by my own abilities and um this is you've really written this really well in your intro, Jeff. It's really written very clearly. It's really articulate, but it is very difficult. So what I've experienced more and more in the last, I'll say 10 years is feeling less and less uh, able to, there's a couple of words Bob has created for this, to feel my Chaitanya. And, but I have the urge to upapog all the time. But, but what it really means is I want to feel my ego. I want my ego. Where's my ego going? It's like it's going into nothing. It's dissolving. It's like, I go in the backyard and my dog lays down there with me and just sit there, watch the blue sky, the green leaves on a tree, and there's nothing going on. The paint on the building is still just heating up in the sunlight, and there's a yellow butterfly floating around, and there's nothing going on. It's all nothing. And I'm going, I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody. This can't be true. I've always tried to be somebody. So the problem I found and I was, to finish this off, I was rewatching Alan Cohen from 5 years ago in The Circle when they were talking about psychology, and they somehow in the middle of that, he labeled this the dark night of the soul. I mean, that's not exactly accurate, but what it is if you can't be somebody, with your Chaitanya or whatever it is, then who are you? And the only thing we all have left is, reality itself, or Meher Baba. But so the dilemma becomes, how do I experience Baba's presence? I'm like just floating there, sitting in my chair, and I know Baba is Baba, but I'm not all blissed out. I don't see Baba coming down from the heavens, and waving to me or anything. And I'm going like, well, how do I do this? But on the other hand, I'm aged. I'm composting out, like you've said so clearly, Jeff. And so maybe that's just what you do when you get to be this age. I don't really know, but I think that's probably a good explanation. But when you're young and you have all these sanskaras full of all this juice, and you got to get out there and engage and pay your rent and do all this stuff, that's a different story. That's a lot of work. And so Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, many of you have heard the line of Darwin. I'm reminded. He would say with this enigmatic look on his face, sooner or later, you discover you're nobody, and that is not an unhappy discovery. So it's a relief to be, that you don't have to become somebody.
I see a somebody, Tony.
Yeah, he's a somebody, but he's trying to be nobody. But
I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Um, then there's two of us. Don't let them know. They'd banish us, Something like that. That's a poem by Emily Dickinson. I'm nobody. Who are you? But I messed it up. Freedom. Freedom. I have Mars in Sagittarius rules my ascendant. Sagittarius loves freedom. But this is such a wide open subject. I think you have freedom when you're in tune with Baba, and you don't have freedom when you're caught up in yourself. When I'm caught off. I shouldn't generalize myself. I have a story. It's a little odd. It's a little off topic, but not really, because it's about remembering Baba. But it was an interesting message she sort of gave me this week. I had to get ultrasound, kidney and bladder ultrasound, because I had stones removed 6 months ago. And this was just on Monday. And it's about 15, 20 minutes, and you lie there and you have to face the right. Inhale, exhale, face to the left, da, da, da. And it's a perfect opportunity to take Baba's name. And I was thinking about the method that Nashawan had mentioned at the Spring Northeast Gathering, which I'd been familiar with and never could get to work, where you ba, ba, inhale, ba, exhale, ba, and never was quite working. I thought, well, here's an opportunity. I'm just laying here. So I was doing ba, ba, and if I got the first ba on the exhale or got it on the wrong one, it's like, the heck, doesn't matter. But I was really stuck on one thing, that it felt really by rote. And particularly, I'm used to put feeling into something, in your singing and your speaking and whatever. And it was just trying to match it up. And as I was saying, Baba, it feels like it's meaningless. It feels like it doesn't mean anything when I do it this way. And he reminded me of an experience, and I will be tactful in how I describe this. But an old girlfriend, and a very intense relationship, and broke up suddenly. Baba's hand was very active in it. And one thing led to another, and I realized Mara was still present. And I talked to Mara about it, and suddenly the relationship was back. And we got together, and we spent a weekend together, as we often did. And it came to the point where the question of intimacy came up. And what I was told was, all right, as long as it doesn't mean anything. And I thought, how the hell is it going to not mean anything? And if I argued it, or discussed it, it would have blown the whole thing. So I didn't. But I thought, it certainly means something to me. And in that memory that Baba threw me was, you may think it doesn't mean anything, that you're taking my name by rote, but it means something to me. When you take my name, you're kidding yourself if you say there's no feeling in it. And I suddenly realized that every time I take his name, if I don't get into that ego conversation, of course I'm in Baba's presence. It's an intimate connection with Baba. Every time, even though it's just ba, 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 ba. Because then suddenly with that shift in attitude, Baba is so present in it. And it was a wonderful thing, and I hope that wasn't too out there.
yeah,
to share.
beautiful. And when you saying his name, he shows up. It's not like it's just going out there into the ether. Yeah, beautiful. Anyone else? Don't tell me I've got to do something. Oh, good.
All right, Marianne.
Okay, I'm chiming in because I really do know in my heart how much I love everyone here. I really do love not being an emotion, but being a power and a force. So it's from that place of gratitude that I speak, because my speaking, I don't know what's going to come out of me, except, this whole subject. I want to say, oh, give me a break. Just give me a break from this, having to even think about it anymore, because it's so much on my mind about detachment. It's there. I know Baba is letting me know that I call it being dragged through the mud. And that's part of my personality in this life, is to kind of look at that glass half empty, and also pessimism. I learned that from doing the Enneagram personality work. I'm also an optimist. I have a lot of positive aspects, and I also have that one. And so I've done so much work because of being a transformation counselor myself. I had to do all the work. I have had to do the work to do to the training. And years ago, we did all this about parents, the study of the parents. I mean, we did their positive aspects, their negative, what they fulfilled in their lives, what they didn't. We had pages of because we went with the understanding that the parents that we have in this life, that we agreed on, it was an agreement before we incarnated, that they represented certain qualities that I have in myself. Look at them thoroughly. So I did all that and so much and everything. And then some years ago, I think I mentioned this before, I had the experience of total detachment from those, the soul that incarnated those two people who were my parents in this life. And it was not in this dimension. It was in another dimension. And Baba had no form in that dimension, or no name. And yet what came from that experience, I've written about it, is total detachment and total love, and unconditional love like I've never experienced before. And I thought I experienced it with having children and animals and the sky and Baba giving me all sorts of experiences. So I know it's kind of thought, and I know in my whole energy system that I'm being taken through that territory with all those who I am deeply karmically connected to. So I know it. I've got a lot of tools. And I get totally disgusted with it at times, because I have this human aspect that tries too hard, tries to figure it all out and everything. And then Baba will give me a shift into some sort of knowing. So I appreciate that. I so appreciate that, Baba. I so appreciate that. And it's a big and I just get totally fed up with the whole system. And just this last Baba week, I just said to Baba, did you have to have creation? Couldn't you just keep resting and just forget about creation? So I do give all that to Baba, and it does. I'm not looking for a payoff, but it does, because I find for me, I'm not speaking about anybody else. It's a rough road back, going through all those sanskaras, because I know the ones that I went through. The journey back to God is you got to go back through all the sanskaras to unwind them, and can't do it without Baba. Can't do it without Baba. So I'll end with that. It's just mainly whatever. I didn't know what to come up with, except I've had such incredible grace in my life, and in my human self, just disgusted with the whole thing. And give me a break.
Well said. Nope. Yeah. We're all so fortunate, though. We have what Eric used to say, the destination in our midst.
We've got Virginia.
I was just thinking about what was just said, and thinking about freedom within human interaction and freedom in our lives. And something that I was just reading in Mayor Baba's Blue Bus Tours came up in my mind about when the women mandali would have such strong reactions to each other when they were living in the ashram together. And I think at one point someone asked Baba, well, do you want us just to not get angry with each other? And he looked at her and said, I don't want you to be a rock. I want you to be angry. I need that there so I can work on it. But then I want you to let it go. So when you feel angry, I want you to say my name, and I want you to dance, and I want you to sing songs to me. And that's what I want, something. And I don't remember all of it, but it was something like, feel it, but then maybe don't like enhance it. Don't like keep it going. Don't fan the flames. Just so, like you're saying, let the sanskaras rise up so Baba can take them. And that's kind of coming as one way of moving toward freedom with Baba.
Excellent. I have a quote here. Oh, Denise. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I thank Baba that I do know the feeling of being detached. It's a great way to live. But then I find myself, especially with my 3 children, I'm so attached to their lives. It's like, I know when I let go of their lives, just go the way they're supposed to go, but I have to, I don't know, mull it over in my mind, and like, what should I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? So what did I do wrong in the past? And I know it's just silly, but I find myself doing that. And the interesting thing is, the one that I'm most worried about, because he seems to struggle more than the other 2, is the one that really kind of gets Baba. He's like, Mom. I mean, he it's just going to flow. So it's kind of humorous. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'd all be free if there weren't other people, you know.
Then we've got Ron.
I read something today from the latest book from Balnatu. It's a compilation of stories. I think it's called Intimate Times with Mayor Baba at Guru Prasad. And I came across the several anecdotes that he strung together about Kumar. I can't remember Kumar's first name, but he's
Shatrughna.
Amrit's father. And anyhow, I'll tell you something about him. And one of the reasons I want to share this, it will have something to do with freedom. I'm pretty sure. But also I'm thinking of telling this story on Thursday at this thing that we do here where I live called the Story Swap. So I'm going to give it a shot. This is really going to be, very Baba. I've told Baba things in the past. Anyhow, so Kumar was this fellow that found out about Baba during the New Life. I may have some of the details wrong, but somebody could fix it up later. Anyhow, he was asked if he would feed some people that were passing through and coming to where he lived. And he said that he would. And it turned out to be Baba and his New Life companions. So he hadn't met Baba before, but he was just drawn to fulfill this. Somebody had asked him, I think it was a Baba lover that was a mutual, a friend of his. And he went for it, which was Baba's way. Somehow, you probably have heard stories where Baba said, go out and find me a horse. It has to be completely white, and somebody has to just give it to you. Things like that. And they say, Baba, who would we ask for something like that? He says, you just look around and see if you see somebody that might do it. And the first person they asked would do it. Anyhow, I think that might have been the case with Kumar. Now, Kumar brought the food, but it was late in getting to where Baba was. Now, the reason was that he was thinking that they were going to come to his place, but that was changed, and his wife didn't know about the change until later, and so it became that he got to the people late. So Baba said, how come it's late? We asked the people that the food arrived at this particular time. He says, well, and he explained it. And he said, well, Baba says to him, were you disappointed in the fact that your wife didn't have it on time?
The brown and white, yeah.
And he said that he was. And he said, did you get angry with her? Yeah. And then eventually, so eventually Baba started eating the food, but then he said, and then Baba asked him, did you hit your wife when you became angry? And he said, yes, I did. And he said, well, Baba said, I'm not going to eat this food. I can't eat food that has been given where anger was part of the whole deal on it. And so Kumar was in shock here. He didn't know what to do. And he asked for Baba's forgiveness, and Baba said, well, the only thing that would really be an acceptable forgiveness would be is if you were to, I could extract a promise from you that you would never hit your wife ever again. And Kumar was kind of shocked by this. This was like the first or second time that he ever met Baba. And here Baba was telling him what to do for his whole life. But he said that he would. So that was one incident. But anyhow, he became a Baba follower, and Baba encouraged him a great deal in this. And he started to come around and had the invitation to hang around with Baba. And so in 54, he was with Baba. I can't remember the place exactly, but
Satara.
Satara. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to leave the grounds where they were staying. And so there's one day he was thinking to himself, my God, I'm in prison. And but I forgot a very important part of the story, which goes back to way before he met Baba or heard about Baba, maybe 10 or 12 years before. And he was married and had a couple of kids, but he was also thrown in prison for political reasons. And he was thinking that he had no idea if he would get out or when he would get out. So he was somewhat desperate. He decided to do something that he never had done before. And he used to make fun of people who would pray to God. But, he had no other options. So he offered up this prayer, which was an interesting prayer. Basically, he said, Mr. God, I don't necessarily believe in you, but if it's possible, if you were able to get me out of here early in the morning tomorrow, I would accept your omnipresence and then serve you for the rest of my life. And so he had made that arrangement with God, and then just to give a little encouragement to God, he packed his clothes that night, just in case he was going to be let out of this prison, which didn't really even open until 10 in the morning. So the possibilities were like astronomical that he would be let out at that time. But somebody came to his cell early in the morning and said, get ready, you're going to be leaving this prison. And he went in to see the head of the warden, and the warden said, you're free to go. We'll deliver at the train station some money for your tickets and some money that you can spend on the way to wherever you are going. And so he promptly forgot that whole incident for many years. In fact, in 54, he, like I say, he was feeling kind of imprisoned by not being able to leave the compound where they were staying. And so he was thinking of that. And so Baba, he would be walking with Baba holding an umbrella. That was his duty. So Baba started talking to him and said, by the way, are you still following my orders about not hitting your wife? And he said, oh yes, Baba, I'm never going to do that. I haven't done it since you extracted that order. And so he said, well, that's good. He says, and then Baba says, I've kept my end of it too, my part of our deal. And he said, what deal, Baba? And then he remembered at that point his whole thing that happened in the prison, and he related it to Baba. And then Baba told him, well, that's right, I'm Mr. God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Amrit's father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got a shock through his whole body when Baba said that.
To have that kind of faith, huh, Ron?
Well, I don't know if he had faith. He just had a
He had
strong
his
connection
bag
to Baba.
packed. He had his bag
But
packed.
that's true.
That's
But
what I
I think
meant.
he was encouraging God to do it for him. But which is, I think Baba liked that. That's why he did it.
I'm going to call on myself. And Jeff will join us. I had an experience that I've shared in, I know, one Zoom. A couple weeks ago, we went away to Mexico, and we were there the first day, and Terry asked me if I was going to get in touch with this person who we used to work with who moved to Mexico. And I had a lot of animosity to this person. My heart was shut down because they kept disappointing me by not being good with their word, saying they would show up when they wouldn't show up with no call or anything. And that's a real trigger for me. And so I said, no, why would I even think of calling him, blah, blah. And then I had another very dear friend who my heart was also shut down because our relationship was it wasn't connecting in the way that worked for me. And the second day we were in Mexico City, I woke up and I felt so light. And I was keenly aware that what had happened was my attachment to how both of these people behaved had been released. And something that Terry had told me time and time again is not everybody does things the way you do it. So they're doing it their way. It has nothing to do with you. It's who they are. And I realized that my attachment to having them do it the way that I needed them was really imprisoning me. And it was shutting my heart down. They didn't know it. They didn't know my heart was shut down. And it was one of the biggest gifts because I heard you talk a lot about detachment, and I've prayed to Baba so much to detach from these specific things. And it took him a while. I wasn't happy with his progress of time, but it's not up to me. It came. Hey, Baba.
Yeah, you're beautiful. It's very hard not to want to impose our values, our cherished values, on others. That's a hard-earned lesson, And
Great, Marta, go for it.
Yeah, that reminds me of something I've been saying to myself very often, almost every day. Marta, follow Baba, don't lead Baba. Follow Baba, don't lead Baba. And when I find myself taking action in areas it's not my area, but it's Baba's, then I go, oh, wait a minute. I'm pulling Baba this way. I'm supposed to follow Baba. And that's really helped me, just the visual of that little sentence. And the other thing I wanted to share was as long as she's been an adult, since she was 16 and now she's 37, I have a niece that's had mental challenges, and I've been her only family member that stayed tied with her. And it's been really, really hard for me to see her suffer in such a way. And through the years, me with Baba and her and just all of this chaos type of thing. And it's been very hard. But finally, I had done 500% and I couldn't do any more, and I gave up. And I said, that's it, Bob, I can't do any more. I've done everything I can, and still she's suffering. And so then, of course, Baba took over and it unfolded in an unbelievable, divine way, of course. And then the other day, right now, things are in a good place. She's in a good place, and she's happy, which is so rare. And the other day, I realized that I've always been really upset, you know, like, why is this on my shoulder? She's not my child. What about her mother? Why is this all? But I couldn't let go of the fact that my heart was so connected with my niece. And so the other day I realized I really love my niece. And I don't have to do anything, but I'm doing it because I love her so much. And I'm not doing anything anymore. Baba's doing it. And then Baba kind of opened my heart to realize it's because of the love that you are interacting with this soul and her love for you. And that just opened it all up to a whole new place for me, where I didn't feel like I had to do a thing except hold space to love her, take her calls, help her with a few bucks when I can, you know, that kind of thing. But this weight of helping her with big stuff to save her has gone. And I also feel that I was being led by Baba instead of pulling Baba and say, Baba, this way, Baba, this should happen. Baba, what about this? What if she's in jail? What if she's on the streets in LA? Oh, Baba. And then she did do all that. And it worked out to a place where she's in a better place mentally now than she's ever been. So there's this whole divine path that's quite magical. And that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's like we have all these ideas of how things
I
should
know.
be,
Yeah.
and it's hard to let go of them, but because sometimes other unexpected things that happen. But yeah, getting out from under the kind of burden is so, or the sense of responsibility
Yeah,
that's
responsibility.
different from love. Love has a responsibility,
Mhm.
but then also our value system puts a heavy responsibility on us as well.
Mhm.
That's not
Thank you.
quite
Yeah.
as, yeah.
We have
Yep.
Gabriella.
Gee, Baba.
Yeah.
I was just actually thinking today about one of the big things for me about freedom is to express myself. I've always felt like it's very important. I should have the right to say what I feel. I want to communicate with others. It's a big deal for me. I want to be able to process with others. And I really replaced, instead of thinking what others needed, I think about what I needed, which was to express myself. That was my freedom, you know. And so just to add just a little bit. So what happened today was that my mother has not been able to speak for like 4 or 5 years. So she has a tracheostomy. So it's really, talk about like limiting freedom. So mainly she texts, but she doesn't text much. And so I've really learned to experience love from her and to her through, I mean, I could speak to her, but there's not much joy in that since she can't speak to me. So it's been like kind of a Baba experience. I speak to her through texting her, and you know, Baba was the first texter, right? So I'm getting to have that experience. And I've learned a lot about limiting expression that way. But there's been this, you know, it happens, it comes up again and again, you know, like you were talking about last time, Jeff, about that spiral that becomes more and more and more narrow. So that issue of expression for me comes up and spirals and becomes more narrow and narrow and higher each time. So it came up in a, you know, very acute way because I would really like to go see my mother. She's like now 90, and my father, who's 93. And it hasn't been clear that she wants me to come. In fact, my sister implies she doesn't want me to come and all this. So I got all triggered. And so I wrote this long letter this morning. Of course, it's going to be a letter. I wrote this long letter.
Your mom is in Israel, too.
And they're all in Israel. So I
Yeah.
haven't seen her for almost 2 years. And she's very near the end of her life. And I don't know that I will get to see her again. But I was very much wanting to express myself, but like not even with anger, but just a lot of questions and how does she feel? And I'm knowing as I'm writing this letter, which helped me just to write it, but that it would make her very uncomfortable. That these days she's not interested in, she's never been interested in talking at that level. So I finished the whole letter, which did help me. And then I just saved it, but I didn't send it. And then I texted her and I wrote, "How do you feel about me coming in August?" That was it. And it was there's like the letter must have been about like a page long. And I just wrote, "How do you feel about me coming in August?" And that was the freedom within the limitation. Because by doing that, I didn't in any way compromise my relationship with her or with other members of the family, because it would have become a big deal. I mean, no matter how subtle I am, it's going to be, oh, Gabi, she wants to process, or something like that. So it wouldn't have been good. So, but I just asked her, and, it doesn't really, the answer isn't even that important. She answered me, not with an answer, because she never talks about her feelings, but she talked about some practical matters about me coming. And that made me get the feeling that, well, she's looking into it and let it go, and that could let it go. But that's the freedom within limitation that I guess I've discovered all my life, being, I was very attached to being free. It's my body. Nobody's going to tell me what to do with my body. That was a huge thing as growing up and stuff like that. And, I got married. I made a kind of major mess in the marriage because of that, and lost the opportunity to love, So what Baba writes about marriage is so brilliant and beautiful, because within that structure of limitation, if you will, there becomes more freedom, the potential for it. And I just been learning that lesson my whole life, and I guess got it today again. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Gabriella.
All right.
Beautiful.
So, Tony, since you shared, I'm going to call on Jeff because he hasn't done his share. He's on narration.
Okay. Well, I thought I would share one of the approaches or aspects in experiencing inner freedom that Bob has been working with me for decades and decades. And as most of you know, I had a very idyllic childhood. My early years, like most of you, in early childhood, you're very much in the expansive, timeless present. Where for me, one day could last a month, because the present moment wasn't hemmed in between anxieties about the future or nostalgia and regret about the past. Those just weren't there in childhood, so it was a vast world that I lived in. But then I went off to college. I left this kind of idyllic childhood, and there I really got entrenched in time and space. And I lost that kind of timeless, spacious quality. I became quite depressed, and I was trying to figure out what the purpose of life was, unsuccessfully. Anyway, and so it was a really difficult time. And then, Baba came into my life in the late 60s, and I was lifted out of that for months. And then I was kind of crash landed back in this mental turmoil. And and I struggled to try to get out of being, I was agonizing over what was I going to do with my future. I was nostalgic about my past. I was regretful of my college days, some of the things I'd done there. And then the Vietnam War was going on. So I was not going to be a part of that. So I was really, I would say at one point, after I got into Bob, I tried to get out from under this mental turmoil. And one day Baba said this to me. I think he was still on earth at the time, where he said, in every moment, there's always something loving that can be done. In every moment, there's always something loving that can be done. And with the implication, you just look around, Jeff. But then he's kind of stressed, just how much are you in the moment and in the present moment? And in looking at that, I think I came up with about 10, maybe 10% in the present. I was kind of moving from the past and rushing into the future, and I kind of spot check the present. And so I said about Baba began training me. So this is kind of what I wanted to share. How to get out of this. I was energetically in the future, energetically in the past, and also rejecting the present because of the Vietnam War. We were all worried about getting drafted, as many of you know. So this is what Baba did. Just like this is how he did the past. He said, basically, I had this nostalgia about the past, and Baba, kind of taught me, give me your nostalgia about the past. Give it to me in the present. Don't go into the past, so much in the past. Just give me the nostalgia you have for the past, because that is something that will keep you in the present. And the same thing, the regret and the shame I felt about some of the unkind things I did in my college days. Rather than going back and reliving those, Baba said, give me that regret and guilt, give that to me in the present. So that way I would stay in the present rather than going back and reliving that stuff. As far as the future, I was kind of agonizing over the future, what I was going to do with my life. I had anxiety about the future, and he said, give me that in the present. So I began, decades go by, this is what I did. And so over time, I didn't go energetically into the future or energetically in the past so much. And at one point, I began to break through from, there's the passing present, which is part of past, present, and future, but there's a kind of a secret doorway, a hidden doorway between the passing present and the timeless present. And at one point, I started breaking into that place. And that's a place of great freedom. And Baba's there, his presence is really all around. But so part of that inner freedom, that's an aspect of inner freedom that I discovered in getting from the passing present into the more timeless present, where time is really kind of stopped and life is going by. But I wasn't so much in in time itself, the past, present, and future, and it became much. In a certain way, I kind of have gotten back a little bit to my early childhood. So anyway, that's kind of one aspect of that inner freedom. That is.
So you kind of become an observer. Is that something or not? In the eternal present.
It's participating in life, but from a kind of timeless place. So I'm not in there with a heavy agenda about things, and wanting things to micromanage things. Things kind of tend to more unfold. I'm not trying to think, oh, Baba, wow, I would go this way. No, now it's going that way. I'm out of that whole thing and letting, kind of giving up some of the agenda as far as, trying to micromanage life and let it unfold. And actually, it unfolds more beautifully than when I was managing it. I mean, of course, I get in there and I get in the way and everything, but overall, I've been able to more let go of it and then just see how the day unfolds, you know, without a real heavy, rigid notion, well, I want things to go that way. So there's a certain freedom of being a little more in the timeless rather than in the passing present, which is so ephemeral. You know. Anyway, I don't know if this makes any sense, but that's what Baba has had a project. I was his project for decades on this. So that's my
Okay.
check-in.
That's very good. Let's go to Mr. Jake Lawton. Hi, Jake.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to piggyback off of what Jeff was saying. I had this experience tonight that kind of has connected to what Jeff is saying about the timeless present. And you know, I was spending some time just reflecting as I was putting my kids to sleep and reflecting on my day's actions and unhappy with some choices that I've made and you know, some attachments that I have. And so something that came to me very strongly was taking some time to dip into internally dip into that endless, vastless ocean that I have within me, the ocean of love, and to dip myself and cleanse myself basically in that ocean of love. And in doing so, I mean, I felt much lighter about myself, but also in hindsight, listening to Jeff talk, I realized that in that space, I also feel like I'm in the timeless present where, you know, I'm here, I'm present, I'm paying attention, I'm aware, but it's kind of like I'm not in the driver's seat so much. I'm much more in an observer state. And so I just really felt, but I felt it was wonderful to have those ocean waves of love kind of cleanse the things that I feel guilty about in my personality or my behaviors or habits, and also just recognize that it helps bring me into the timeless present in that state. So that's really all I have to share. Just wanted to add on to what Jeff said.
Yeah, beautifully descriptive. Yeah.
Thank you. And let's go to Virginia.
Wait, I'm in Myrtle Beach. No. Go ahead.
Hey, sorry to hog the mic a little bit tonight, but I just got the strong sense that a lady that I worked with a couple weeks ago, I'm a nurse practitioner, and that she is maybe dying either right now or will be soon. And she's not, as far as I know, a Baba lover, but I wonder if we could all just send her some love on her journey. And her name is Grace.
Yeah.
Beautiful name.
Yeah.
Thank you, Virginia.
Thank you all.
Jai Baba. All these things help people, you know. It may not seem like it, but it really
Is that me?
it enables Baba to help others.
Okay, let's go to you, Peter.
Okay, I was a little bit confused. I didn't see what the screen said, and I didn't know, didn't hear you. I would, you know, when I'm reflecting upon what other people have said, I feel like I want to say earned or been bestowed this concept of freedom in many ways, but I don't relate to it very well because it's like years ago, I had, you know, when I got clean, I remember being in a meeting and saying, it's crazy for me thinking about doing drugs when nothing good can come of it. And then 13 days after, my obsession was gone and it has never come back.
Wow.
And oftentimes when people talk about they're like an arm's length away from it at all times. I don't understand that, because once the detachment is there and the spiritual life is focused on, it doesn't come back. I've gone through a spiritual process with debting, haven't debted in a long time. And one thing I want to say proud of myself, but when I went through the homeless shelter, one thing that people need to learn in order to get through there is to, in a way, learn how to mind their own business. Because there is so much drama going through that place almost all the time. I was absolutely shocked. You see, I earned the trust of employees there. I earned the trust of some residents there, and also some counselors or some of the case managers. And they would tell me some of the dramas that happened there. They shouldn't have, but they did. And I'm just trying to cover some points. I think that when I am knee deep in my depression and sometimes don't want to do anything about it, sometimes when I'm laying in bed, remembering Bob is depressed. It's really simple. It's like what I think Dr. Phil would call the minimum effective response. What is the minimum that you want to do for a problem or a situation? I'm like, all right, it's Baba going through it. It's Baba the one that's being depressed. And I can just sit there laying in bed, remembering it's God. It's really simple. And when people were talking about detachment, remembering him, man, I'm trying to remember a memory that when I was homeless, when I was out of work, I would go to the library when I had a thing called an MP3 player and download Erich, download Bao, download all the Mongoli. And as I'm walking, I am going over and over and over and over and over again, Erich. And I wrote these discourses on little 5x8 index cards when I had gotten fired from a job. And I was furious that I got fired. It didn't make any sense to me until somebody explained it. And let's just say it still doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. So I remember going back to work and drilling these 5x8. I would read them actually while I was at red lights. And what I did was, I think was earn, I want to say, the detachment of, let's just say maybe a layer of self, even though in a way I'm very much in my own way still. I don't understand it. I have this sense, I either think of unworthiness or not being good enough. There was that sense of detachment. I mean, on a number of different levels, of when a certain kind of drama hits, to remember him in any way, shape, or form that it is. So that's not major detachment, but I have a homeless friend of mine that I've been looking for, and the two things that Baba has said to me over and over and over again when I double check is do everything I can for her and detach. So when I'm not actively trying to find her, I pray for her, because number one, this guy named Gandhi said the most potent instrument of action is prayer. So I forget about that. And I don't want to, I'm not going to say his name, but part of my spiritual directions was when I offend somebody or when doing something wrong, and sometimes I debate whether to apologize or not, do something for them. And this person that was a resident said, in a way, doing something directly for them may get in the way, actually. It's what we're notorious with doing, is actually trying to do something directly to them. He says, pray for them, say Baba's name. And I realized that in a way, to be able to choose that is a type of inner freedom. It's simple, and I think I can go on and on about, I mean, sometimes it's confusing what Erich has said about taking his name is one level, taking it with heart is another level. and yet visualizing him is another level of freedom, or inner freedom. And I just got the divine gag order, so I'll pass with that. Thanks.
The divine gag order. I think I think about that one.
It's me. I can ask question after question after question after question after question after question ad infinitum. And I remember whatever it said. It's like when they were going all the way around India, what was the harassment? People asking him question after question after question. So I think I'm the great I am. So when I'm talking, sometimes I check in with Bob and he's like, well something like that, like, you're done. I know you want to keep going, but you're done. So my way of saying it is I got the divine gag order.
There's a word in Yiddish that it's genug, which is done. Genug. We say it.
Can you write that in the chat?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It will be phonetic.
Thank you.
All right, let's go for you, Marion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to, I think for myself, this is for me to clarify some of what I put out tonight, because I was really being clear about complaining and telling Baba, different things I'm complaining about. The positive aspect of that is that I give everything to Baba. And I am trained and studied in the triad nature that Baba said. The avatar comes with the triad nature into the material world, and we all have that triad nature of knowledge, power, and bliss. And so in my training, we had used the words love, power, and serenity, which means the same thing. And on a human level, all our defenses are just a twist of that. But there's a divine quality to every lower self quality, has a divine aspect. So I learned how to go through the tunnel of the lower self, not around it, not bury it in my body and my subtle energy, but really bring it out. And it's this core energetic work. It's about expressing what's in, first of all, looking at the thoughts, mental body. What am I thinking? And what's skewed about that? And what is not skewed? Then the subtle body. What's clogging up my energy field? Those negative thoughts, and how to clear all that. So like last week, I noticed a lot of fear was coming up, and fear is the opposite of love. And so I would just stop and tell Baba, I'd stop whatever I was doing the dishes or dusting, whatever. And I'd say, Baba, I'm feeling fear right now. And then I'd listen. And then Baba would give me a direction, go pick up the plant on the windowsill and hold it next to your heart, so I'd go do that. And then yes, plants purify all the toxins, in our homes and all. And then I'd stop maybe later and say, Baba, I'm feeling fear. And it would be hug the wild bear on your bed. That's the bear that Baba directed to me many years ago. And so what I've learned about my personality, everybody's got a dominant one. Mine is on a higher self-love. On a human defended self, it's getting emotional about everything. And others whose dominant quality might be power, positive power, on the human level, if it's distorted into a defense, then that turns into control, trying to control everybody else. In the same way with the with the more reasoned type person who has a lot of wisdom, if they get into their defense, they're going to withdraw, get above their emotions and not express anything. So with all of that, I just want to clarify that when I go into my complaining sessions with Baba, Baba's smiling, because that's what I tried to keep hidden my whole life in my childhood. I tried to conform, look good, and never complain about anything in my family. But I was the most sparky one also, who got into a lot of trouble because I had such imagination and all. So I just want to kind of clarify that when I feel sort of, gloomy down, and ragging on Baba, giving me all this stuff. Today I had a most exceptionally wonderful, wonderful day. I felt fear. I felt more fear about all that pleasure I had today. And I was taught that many years ago. Humanity as a mass, not everybody, is more afraid of our deep pleasure connected with spirit than our pain. The pain's real familiar. So today I had a most extraordinary day. And I came home this evening. I was grateful for us being on because I I did not feel happy about having such bliss, such a wonderful day today. I'm having a reaction. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that everything goes to Baba, everything turning it over to Baba, who listens and smiles and just smiles me through it all. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a therapist, an Italian therapist, that was the major tragedy with human beings is the repression of the sublime,
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
repressing the divine side of us. Yeah. Okay.
You got Richard Sander.
Actually, I'm having these thoughts, sort of in reaction to some of what I'm hearing, but what I mean by that is, I've done what we've all done at different times. I really think Jeff has expressed a lot about this, especially through Darwin's teachings, but the goal isn't, we all work towards fixing ourselves or helping ourselves or adjusting ourselves to whatever. And that can create a lot of chaos, but the goal I don't think is truly to fix ourselves. If we can be fixed, Baba will take care of that. And it's the quickest, most direct path to the goal. It's like when Baba says, I am the express train. Blink, you don't have to stop at every station and figure out where you're at. You just get on the train and go to me. And so even though I do it, self-analysis and where did this come from? Where did that come from? What's that suffering about? Da, 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 da. But I have to keep reminding myself that the reason that Meher Baba has explained very thoroughly that he is one with you is exposed in the Mandali. And for those like Jeff and many others who really met the Mandali, it was a very human experience. But the truth is that they lived thousands of lives getting to that point. Wherever I'm at is not even close. But I'm convinced that the only thing I can do is ask Baba, help me to experience you as me, In other words, Baba as Marta is the best Baba that he can be as Marta. And as Jeff, I see it in Jeff because he is so clear about it. Go here knows, and so many of you have these experiences. I just know that's what we're all here for. But I often wonder, well, what's my next life going to be like? But I'm starting to think, I hope Baba's got that figured out. I really do. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Rich, we're all here because we're not all there. Yeah.
There's another
Hey,
one.
so let me see. It's I got a good quote, but for something at the end. But anyone else have anything to mention? I see a Mayor Prasad. I don't want to put him on the spot, but there's some things that kind of amble through his consciousness. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think maybe a couple of things. One is that generally for inner freedom, there are times when I try to withdraw myself into my deeper self, but usually that lasts for a few minutes before I go to sleep, whenever I do that. So that is very, like maybe 3 to 5 minutes before I go to sleep when I do that. But in my waking times, I try to, think that it's Baba doing everything through me. And even though I mentally do that, over time, it usually turns into a more inner prompt that he's the one that's actually doing it. And with that comes a lot of freedom because there is nothing that is attached to what you're doing. Basically, there is no want or a very strong desire attached to it when you think it's Baba doing it through you. And so your even though you pay a lot more attention to what you're doing, you are not really attached to that in the sense of gaining some personal thing or anything like that. So that gives me, a fair bit of freedom. So
Yeah.
initially, it was very much and remembering to think that it's Baba doing it through me, Baba doing it through me. But over time, he actually helps you get that more at an inner level than just at the mental level. And that's one of the prayers that I do every morning, that to asking him to help me to realize that it's he who is doing everything through me. So and certainly that even though we start with that being a very mental and intellectual thing, over time, if we do it consistently, he does awaken that feeling. And with that comes a great amount of freedom, because
Yeah.
you're not really attached to any of the things that you're doing and their results. So.
Yeah. It is the freest way. If it becomes more than an exercise, but it becomes more and more real over time. It's I think the shortest path.
Well, we're going to wind down, but we have two more.
Yeah.
Let's go to Dinko and then to Ron and then to your quote, Jeff.
Okay. Oh wait, I got to get a walkie-talkie.
Dinko, you want to go?
You want me to go?
Yeah, Jeff had to take a call.
Okay. I just got this quote this morning from Sumit. It says, "The whole of creation is a play of thoughts, the outcome of the mind. It is your mind that binds you. It is also the mind that is the means of your freedom." Jai Baba.
Would you mind doing that one more time?
Sure.
Thank you.
The whole of creation is a play of thoughts, the outcome of the mind. It is your mind that binds you. It is also the mind that is the means of your freedom. Meher Baba.
That was wonderful. Jeff, we just had Dinku do a great quote, and she did it twice, but you missed it. Should we ask for a third? I muted you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'll be able to hear it on the recording.
Okay. All right, let's complete with Ron.
I got a short joke. I thought maybe something different. So this man is in the hospital, and he's got a disease or a condition that seems to be worsening. And so he's got a few family members in the room there, and then his minister walks in. And his minister says, "Jerry, he's all hooked up with all kinds of tubes coming out of his here, there, and including his mouth. So he's unable to speak. But he says, Jerry, I hope, you're feeling they're taking care of you here." And so all of a sudden, Jerry, who's in the bed, he's making this sign, this gesture like this. And so and he's pointing to the table next to him, and the minister looks over there, and there's a pen and a pad of paper. So he thinks he probably wants to write him something, and so he hands him the paper and the pencil, and he writes this note, and then he tears it off the pad and he hands it to the minister. But then he just is not breathing anymore, and there's this alarm that goes off, and the nurses start running in, and the minister is all freaked out. he take that note, he just puts it in his coat pocket and he's seeing if they can revive Jerry. But they weren't able to revive Jerry, and he passed away. And at his burial, the minister was wanting to say something about Jerry. Jerry was a very wise man and a very good person. And it just dawns on me. I was with him when he breathed his last, and he gave me something, and I haven't even read it. It's still here in my pocket. And he pulls it out, and he's thinking, this is this might be really important. So he starts reading. You're stepping on my air hose.
Uh-oh.
Very good.
That's funny.
Tell it to somebody.
Jeff really liked that one, John.
The macabre humor, yeah.
Jeff, you
Okay.
want to land the plane with your quote?
Yeah, this goes right along. This just segues right into that perfectly. No, this is Baba is I think he's in Guru Prasad in the afternoon, and someone asked, and this came up. Someone asked Hafiz what spirituality meant, and he answered in one ode, "Unless you go against your lower self, you cannot unite with your higher self." And then Baba said, "Now what is the lower self? That which makes you think you are small, that which makes you feel you are not satisfied, happy, that which makes others see you as small." So this meaning of going against the lower self is to transform this in quite the opposite direction. Be that which makes you look big and makes others see you as big. Remain pleased and contented, happy and satisfied. When you are displeased, unhappy, or upset and moody, it is your lower self asserting itself. People always put the blame for their dissatisfaction and suffering on others. But the fact is, when one suffers, it is one's own fault. Mansari, she was one of the women Mandali, became excited. She was angry and suffered, and she laid all the blame on Elizabeth, Norina, and Lucky, who was the monkey who was always getting into trouble. But if she had gone beyond the lower self, she would have taken it calmly, swallowed it, and remained unaffected. If you are firm, nothing will upset you. If you try, you will surely achieve it. I do not want any repression, but I do want transformation. I never for one moment say that you must not get angry. Don't be confused. You must get angry when the occasion arises, but at once you must get it out of your head. If you are not hungry, fasting has no meaning.
Wow.
So I thought that was very interesting. Sent to me by Laura Smith. But it's from Lord Mayher. So I guess let's have a few moments of silence. Let's see. Yeah, Celeste's a little bit tired there. Okay, let's have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Baba.
Is Nasreen around?
Yeah.
I think she is.
Oh, there she is. Okay, let's have it from. Go ahead, Nasreen.
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day to all you fathers of humans
Yeah.
or animals.
Yeah, that's right. Happy. Bob is among other things, the
Father's Day.
father.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
Diane is actually officially going to retire and travel to India very soon. Yeah.
You're talking about Diane Ullman? Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
She's
you
on
know,
her
I
way.
tell Richard everything before I tell you anything, Jeff. So.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you serious?
No, I am retiring, and so is Terry, but we're not going to India for quite some
Oh,
My
I
God.
see.
I am shocked.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why don't you go to India? I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it's easy. Just make the reservations and you're on your way to paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Go with Jeff in the fall.
We'll let you come here to Myrtle Beach. You know, it's a little easier, less wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, Baba said you don't have to come to me.
Hey, Ronnie, we didn't hear you from you. This is Ronnie Foley there.
Oh, honey.
Ah, I guess maybe it's past
Oh
her
yeah,
bedtime.
sorry.
Delicious.
It's once again very dark in here because I like to have the lights really low. I was just listening today.
Yeah.
So
Good. Nice that you're here, though.
yeah, I
You know,
love
'cause
coming.
it's mainly a nursing home without, few people like you.
Jake was here.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
he's the
Jake
actual.
is.
Yeah. Oh, is he still here?
Yeah, Jake is there. Yeah.
Hi, Jake.
A lot of these people I've known here since they were very toddlers, practically.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some people who've known me since I was at least 10.
Yeah. Yeah. How are Sabine and Johannes doing?
Thank you.
Tired today.
Well, because you were away for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, just for the
Yeah,
appointment.
I was just for an appointment last time, So
Yeah.
that's why Johannes had to fight for himself, but I think he did very well.
Yeah, he did
Managed the
perfectly.
computer.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, he did. He learned how to mute and unmute and everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Patty, how are you doing?
Well, I have been very happy to hear everybody tonight, and it was amazing how much I gained from listening, starting with Marta. I mean, Marta, everybody, honest to God, because there have been, the constant nows change so frequently, and a lot arises, and the capacity to stay in the stillness of my being
Yeah.
is a challenge.
It's a challenge, yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and I know it's a challenge pretty much for everyone, but I just, the frustration exists that I'm unable to, after all these years and probably loads of lifetimes, not getting the lesson quite down yet, or opened enough to the true freedom within. That it's my path. It's a path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most of the time it's very joyous, but this has been a difficult few days. So I've had a lot arise and a lot to reflect on in my capacities. So there it is,
Yeah.
out there, out there again. All
Yeah.
right.
I remember Audie used to say, over at the farm shed, he said, it's great to grow old with Baba, but it's not great to grow old in the body.
That's it.
He used to say
Seriously.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not even that. It's I'm coming into I say this lightly, acceptance with all of which the changes are, but what is harder for me right at this moment has been witnessing my inability to not not reflect the love that I am, you know, to know that I somehow am still blocking it off in a situation that is highly complex, mind you. This is a lot of different players and a lot of different things happening, and it saddens my heart to I mean, and I can only imagine how sad Bob is having to watch it or to be us doing it. You know, it's like, you know, the children are misbehaving, so to speak, you know. So but you know, I do know that if I just keep giving it over and keep giving it over, there'll be a switch. And that was what was so wonderful about hearing about what people said today, is they just kept giving it over, and eventually, and that was true with Diane, and you know, eventually there is a shift. So I'm kind of in anticipation and waiting at this moment. So
Yeah, beautiful.
yeah, lovely always to see everybody.
Yeah.
I feel so welcomed and so happy that we're all here in the circle of his embrace, basically. You know, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Anything else before we go? Here on the West Coast, East Coast, it's getting up to around 11:30, and yeah, it is. Jake is way up past, you know, the kids are all asleep, but he's got a little free time, you know.
That's a place to spend my free time.
Yeah, beautiful. Anyway, I think I'll say goodbye, and we got Sanober there from India. Dinku is still there in cyberspace, and Gabriella, yeah. Well, next time we'll get you to sing a song.
I was just thinking, can I sing one couplet from
Yeah,
Bao?
sing one couplet. Yeah.
It kind of relates to what we're doing tonight. Bao says, of course, it's Baba speaking to Bao. Wow. Oh, Bao, do not imagine it is easy to forget everything, for this is not the task of the intellect. Let love for the beloved do this for you. Then you needn't trouble yourself to forget.
Sing that once again.
Oh, Bao, do not imagine it is easy to forget everything, for this is not the task of the intellect. Let love for the beloved do this for you. Then you needn't trouble yourself to forget.
Yep, that's the fastest way, for sure. All right. Yeah. Anyway, wonderful. Jai Baba, everybody.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jai Baba, Jeff.
And
Thank
if you
you.
get any topics, don't hesitate to let me contact me. Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you.
Yeah.
Jai
Thank you.
Baba.
Jai
Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Jay Bob.
Thank you.
Jay Baba, everyone.
Oh, even Damien came on there at the end. Look at that guy.
I'm gonna hit end, or do you want to keep talking and I'll just leave?
Oh, Damien Schreier. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, you can stop the recording and
How's the cake,
yeah.
Damien?
All right. Much love, everybody.